now moment, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with you as always. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here. And we just ask that you bring an open mind and an open heart to your listening experience. And to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality. While listening, you will be exposed to inspiring, empowering, and unifying perspectives that I'm highly confident will yield stellar results in your life if you opt to try them on for size. Also, if you're a longtime P-Head listener, you know I have been diligently working on producing episodes for my new late-night style, consciousness-elevating video talk show, Optimistic. Well, after a year plus in the making, I am thrilled to announce that we will be releasing Season 1's episodes weekly beginning March 15th, and I'm asking for your help to spread the love and to let your friends and family know about Optimistic when it's released. In exchange for taking a minute to share our Episode 1 teaser video on March 15th, or whenever you're hearing this, up through the end of April, we're giving you monthly memberships to not one, but two consciousness-expansive online content portals from two of my very favorite teachers and healers that are valued at over $50 a month, as well as entering your name into a drawing to win a free week at the Mystic Manor for a retreat immersion valued at $2,950, where the winner will be chosen in April. Otherwise, if you're interested in hearing more details about the rewards you'll receive for supporting, we'll send you a video that goes into detail when you text the word Mystic to the number 22999. You can also go to optimistic.tv to see several other videos, including the Optimistic show trailer and two videos that discuss the week-long retreat immersion, as well as details of what the Mystic Manor immersion entails and how you can book a week to come stay with us, even if you don't win the raffle. All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome. Here we grow again. So grateful to be back with you as always. It is a magical Monday here in the studio as I record. And yeah, getting to recording a little later than normal today. Things are definitely popping off here at the Mystic Manor with the release of Optimistic, the new late night style consciousness elevating talk show, variety show that is really the evolution of this podcast, is coming out on Sunday, March 15th at 11:11 a.m. We decided our little slogan would be late night just woke up. You know, normally late nights, well, Saturday night. We're 11:11 a.m. on Sunday, and we like to think that we're spreading some enlightening, awakening sort of messages. Super, super excited about this release. It's been a year plus in the making, really longer than that since I originally started talking about this, and people were on the show predicting that this would happen years back, and it's surreal for it to be happening. I'm so grateful for all of you guys that have been supporting, those of you who have signed up to share the trailer when we release it on Sunday the 15th. And if you haven't signed up to do that yet and would like to support the cause, you can just text the word Mystic to the phone number 22999, and you'll get instructions on on the 15th, you'll get sent the links to share. And then you also get free gifts for doing so, $50+ worth of online programs from Lee Harris and Sonia Sophia, and also entered into a drawing to win a free week here at the Mystic Manor. So most importantly, you get 1,111,111 good karma points for helping us to spread the word. It has been such a birthing process. And thank you guys. Thank you. Here we grow. All right, let's see here. What am I going to do today? I am going to, it's been so intense around here in preparation for our launch. I really didn't think too much about what I would talk about. And what I like to do in those cases is having a good book to go to is really great for me. It's, and I know you guys enjoy it too. And I haven't done it for a while until last week. I did this Angelic, the big book of angel stories, Angelic Interventions. And I thought, you know what? Today there is so much going on. Why don't I just continue what I was doing last Monday? Because I thoroughly enjoyed those stories, and they're just so inspiring to know that we have these forces beyond the beyond that are there, that want to that step in some cases, and how, when, where, why that's determined that they step in, and other times when they don't. Who knows such things? But there are so many cases like this of, entities or some sort of involvement from forces that are inexplicable coming, in times of crisis or what have you, to help, help us out. And I find that so interesting and magical. And, I did have a cool experience not so long ago, maybe a little over a week ago. First time I'd done any sort of psychedelic in a long time, in quite a while. And me and my partner, Karen, who I've mentioned a few times, I think now, she's amazing. And we've been dating for the last 6 months or so. And we decided we would do psychedelics together, and we did that. And she was having the experience of being like the entire universe, like feeling the entire universe in her, for, a good 30 minutes or so. She's been having a lot of like awakening things happen in her world, and expansion and growth. And what was interesting is I was having the experience of seeing the entire universe through her. So it was like, she was almost like shape shifting, and it felt like so much energy in the room. Like there was more than just the normal her there. Right. And so the next morning when we were like integrating and talking about our experiences, she's like, yeah, I had the experience of being the entire universe. And I'm like, oh, wow, because I didn't vocalize it at that time, but that's what I was seeing. And that's what I was feeling. So it's really a wild thing to think about, like this higher version of ourself being able to sort of like stuff itself down into these physical bodies and come through at key moments. Whether that's in a, plant medicine or psychedelic experience, sort of scenario, whether that's in a near death scenario, like a lot of these angelic stories where entities are coming through, whether it's in meditation, whether it's, in a dream state, they're all just different ways that the veil gets pierced. And it's really, really a fascinating thing to consider. I had a friend telling me actually about their DMT experience not too long ago. And same thing with them is like, they're like, okay, I all of a sudden, sort of left this realm and I was in another dimension, and it was like all these like people sort of celebrating and saying, oh, hey, there you are. Welcome back. Like, and it was like very like party vibes, with entities that were there. And it's just such a wild thing to think about, these other dimensions where there's parties going on that you can like pop into perhaps through these altered states. And yeah, pretty cool. So I'm going to pick up where I left off just last week. And this is a book that I had just chosen one of the chapters, which is all about angel rescuers. And I just chosen to read a few of the stories. I'm going to do the same thing this week in that same chapter, rescue stories where angels are involved. This is from the Big Book of Angel Stories by Jenny Smedley. And a little fun story time with me this day. It's very nice to be able to just like relax and hear a good story after a pretty intense day in preparation for the launch. And before I jump in here to Jimmy's story, is the one that I have queued up. I also wanted to throw out to you guys that any of you who are considering coming to the Mystic Manor, been considering it, all this time, with the launch of Optimistic, I don't have a crystal ball. Although if you check out the new optimistic.tv website, it might look like I do. New site coming out in a few days as well. But I don't have a crystal ball, but I have a very, very strong feeling we have a big push coming with all kinds of support and sponsors promoting the teaser to 1 million plus people, for example. I envision that I am stepping into a new phase where, I'm reaching a whole lot more people with the same message we've been all sort of enjoying together on the Positive Head podcast all these years. And as a result, there'll be a lot more people that hear about coming to the Mystic Manor. So who knows what'll unfold. I'm okay with whatever unfolds, but I do think there is a strong chance after this comes out that, the remaining spots through the end of June, which is what I have booked up open on the calendar as of this point, will fill in quickly. So if you've been thinking about coming, I would definitely reach out sooner than later, especially considering we're doing this crazy deal for March and April where, it's normally $29.50 for a solo room. We're doing $13.33 per person, and you share a room with someone else. So it is really, really an epic opportunity, financially speaking, for those of you who've wanted to come and just hadn't had the resources in the past. Because I know I've talked to a lot of people who really wanted to come, and it was just, out of their price range. So if you're interested in booking that while you still can, you can set up a call with one of the optimistic elves over here to talk about dates and availability and payment or payment plan if you need that even, by going to calendly.com/mystic deal. And that's where you can book a call, 15-minute or so call with someone on my team here. One of the optimistic elves, as I like to refer to them, will help get you all sorted out to come out to visit us here at the Mystic Manor and have an incredibly, transformational week. It has happened without fail every single time. So I would expect the same for you. All right. With that being said, I'm going to jump into Jimmy's story from the Big Book of Angel Stories. And here we go. It doesn't matter which country this happened in. In fact, strangely, I'm still not allowed to give away too much information after all these years. I was in the U.S. Army at the time and had been sent to fight a war like so many other young men of the time. I didn't like it. I hadn't chosen it, but I had to do it. The worst part was leaving my mom. She would be alone, as my dad had died some years previously, and she still missed him. I lived just a few doors down from her and checked in with her every day. She wasn't clingy. She was too thoughtful for that, but she would miss me, and she was scared for me. So there I was in a hot place, sweating, part from the humidity and part from the fear. I'd been cut off from my comrades and spent hours crawling along trying to find my way back to my side of the fence. I was very scared that I was too far behind enemy lines. Eventually, exhausted, I crept into some cover and went to sleep. It was dark, and I mean really dark. No lights, no moon, and no stars. At some point, the clouds must have cleared because when I woke up, I could see a little, enough to freeze my bones. Coming right at me was a troop of enemy soldiers, guns drawn. They couldn't possibly fail to see me because they were cutting a trail right at me. I didn't dare move because that would make them hear me. I didn't know whether to cock my gun or stay lying down and make myself as small as possible. I heard a noise behind me, and for a second, the fear intensified. Were they coming from that way too? But no, behind me was just a glowing light. The moon, maybe? I looked back and saw that the soldiers were literally feet away. I raised my gun. They would virtually tread on me at any second. But then something, I still don't know what, started to materialize around me. In a few seconds, I could see that it was a ring of figures. My gun fell from nerveless fingers. I'm not going to say they were beings with wings, but I do think they were angels. They made a solid ring around me, their backs to me. I couldn't see their faces, but in the light they cast with their soft glow, I could see the enemy soldiers' faces, and I know they couldn't see the figures or me. Incredibly, as if the beings were a tree or a wall, the soldiers just detoured around me and moved off deeper into the trees and undergrowth. By the time my breathing had calmed down, the ring of figures had faded, and within seconds they were gone. I don't know if they were there to save me or to stop me from shooting someone I wasn't supposed to shoot. Either way, the memory has lived with me for all these years, and I'm never going to forget it. One last thing. When I got home, my mom asked me if I'd almost been killed one night. She said she'd seen me in a dream, hiding from men with guns. The dream had scared her so much and seemed so real that when she woke up, she got down on her knees and prayed for my guardian angel to watch over me. I think her prayers were answered. Wow. That's intense, huh? What a trip. Okay, this one's Jerry's story. I was driving up from Sedona to Flagstaff, Arizona. People know this is a very heavily wooded road with many steep and twisty hairpin bends. It was dark and I was driving too fast, but I was young and foolish and I liked taking dares. I just reached the top of the final rise and a little drunk on my own invincibility, or so I felt. I speeded up some more. Suddenly, right in my headlight was a huge deer. I thought it would run away, but it just stood there. I slammed my foot on the brake as hard as I could, but it was no good. I was going to slam into the animal or skid out of control. The deer was going to get whacked up onto the hood and come through the windscreen, probably smashing into my head. I thought I was dead. Then suddenly a golden light appeared between us, like a big golden orb. I hit it, and it splattered harmlessly away like a bursting bubble, making a spray of rainbows that glittered as they splashed off the hood of my car and dissolved away to nothing. Miraculously, the impact stopped my car about 3 feet from the animal. The deer stared through the windscreen at me, right into my eyes, as if to say, "You have been warned." Then it went leaping away. I never told anyone who would have believed me, but I believe my guardian angel saved both me and the deer that day, and I got the message. Since then, I drive really carefully, never faster than my angels can fly, as they say. I also stopped going hunting because I figure if a deer can bring me a warning from an angel, then I have no right to be shooting them. Interesting. Wow. Let's keep going. Linda's story. I confess I'm a very bad driver. After the car door was pulled off by accident when I was pregnant, I thought, that could have been my belly. I had been out of the car when I saw it starting to roll backwards. Without thinking, I jumped in to stop it. The car door had hit a stone pillar and been ripped off seconds after my belly had been in the same place. I turned my driving over to God as I prayed, I'm a terrible driver. Please take care of me and my unborn child because I don't seem to be doing a very good job. My daughter was born soon after and I forgot about the prayer until the following incidents happened. The first time I was tired and driving home when I nodded off. The next thing I knew, an invisible hand grabbed the steering wheel and turned it to the right. This woke me up and I saw a truck coming at me in the opposite lane. My car was now safely in the correct lane, however. While I had been asleep, it had been gliding over the double yellow lines into oncoming traffic. My guardian angel had saved my life by turning the wheel. I thanked him and was now very much awake for the rest of my drive home. The next incident happened early one morning as I was driving to work. The narrow country road I was on came down a steep hill and merged into a state highway. I stopped at the stop sign and was just about to pull out after looking when a man's very deep voice shouted, "Watch out!" I slammed on the brakes and turned around to see who on earth had said that. I assumed some criminal had slipped into my car when I wasn't looking. There was no one there, but when I spun my head around to the front, there was a car in my blind spot that sped past me just after I had hit the brakes. I knew I would have hit the car if not for my guardian angel's advance notice. Angie's story. I went on holiday to Greece when I was in my 20s and decided to stay on afterwards with my friend and work there for the summer. This friend turned out not to be a good choice and caused me all sorts of trouble, including a horrible experience involving a sexual assault. Then my boyfriend at the time came over to Greece and ended our relationship. I had no money to get home. You get the picture. I realized that this place was not right for me. Sure, I could have rung home and gotten someone to buy me a ticket, but I felt compelled to move on to the next island. This was a completely different place to the mainland and mostly non-commercial. There were a lot of artists around there and Greek families with holiday homes. I discovered my ex-boyfriend working in a moped hire place, and for a short while we got back together, so I thought that was why I'd felt the need to go to this island. However, after a while things got nasty and I ended up sitting in the village square crying my eyes out and spending my last drachma on waffles and chocolate sauce. I was feeling so alone and desolate, and then I heard a voice saying, "Don't worry, I am sending you help." I really thought I must have imagined it, but was comforted by it anyway, and then I saw two gorgeous young Greek men approaching me. They said, "Here she is, our angel." I thought, how bizarre, but also my gaydar went off over time around them, so I felt no sexual threat from them. I told them about my situation and they invited me to stay with them. I know it sounds illogical to trust strangers like that, but I really just knew they wouldn't harm me. We became great friends and they soon admitted that they were in a relationship together and that one of their fathers had found out and tried to beat it out of them. This was their last summer before going to do national service, and of course, they really wanted to be together. And being very spiritual people, they had prayed to their angels for someone to help them. They saw me straight away, with my white blonde hair crying into my waffle, and they just knew I'd been sent to help. We hatched a plan where I pretended to be the girlfriend of one of them, and this kept the father off their back, as he was happy to think that his red-blooded son had just gone through a strange phase and was now, quote-unquote, normal. We had a fantastic summer, and I kept in touch with them both for many years. I feel the angels sent those guys into my path to renew my faith in people, especially men, as they are both so kind and protective, showing me how men could be. Their presence helped me to stop the pattern of inviting not-so-nice men into my life, so that things worked out better for me in the future. Soon after that, I met my now husband, and we've been happily married for 16 years. Oh, that's a good story. I like it. All right, let's do another one, shall we? Jasmine's story. I'm of a faith in which I'm not allowed to believe in what I choose, and I thought that angels wouldn't protect me because of this. I was so afraid all the time, but not after what happened. One day I was going up a steep flight of stone stairs near my home, and I didn't notice that someone had spilled cooking oil on them. My foot slipped and I fell over backwards. My head hit one step and I tumbled over and over, unable to stop. At one point, my body took flight, and I knew that when I landed at the bottom of the steps, I would be knocked out and almost certainly would have broken some bones. But suddenly, a pair of arms snatched me out of the air. They were so real that I assumed a man had been standing on the steps and had caught me as I flew past him. I clung to the strong body, and he placed me on the ground. I was dizzy, but I looked up to thank him, embarrassed at having been held so close by a strange man. There was no one there. No one on the steps, no one on the street below, and nowhere the man could have gone. Apart from a few bruises and a sore head, I was completely unhurt. I just know it was an angel who saved me and that I am protected, even if my beliefs have to remain a secret. Cool. Scott's story. We were on a trip in a rental car in the middle of nowhere. It was snowing, and we were on an isolated stretch of the Glenwood Canyon in Colorado late in the evening. Suddenly, some rocks fell down the mountainside and blocked our path, sending our car into a ditch. We also had a flat tire from the impact. I had a terrible sinking feeling as not only did we have to get the car out of the ditch, but the trunk was full, which would make it difficult to get out the tools and the spare tire. The highway emergency phone wasn't working, so we couldn't send for help. It was getting darker, and it was really unlikely that anyone would come by, but I didn't panic because I always send angels ahead when I travel. So I wasn't totally surprised when, out of nowhere, several young people suddenly appeared. Within minutes, the trunk was unpacked, the tire was changed, and they'd called the rental company on a mobile phone to arrange a replacement car at the next town, as our car now sported a temporary tire. It all happened so fast and was too convenient. Not just that, but the young people who had saved us just disappeared into the night as mysteriously as they'd come. Well, did that one, I don't know. Maybe that one could have just been someone pulled up. Not so sure. Jackie's story, this one's short. One winter, my first as a driver, I had my first trip out in the snow. I skidded badly and had no idea what to do. I'd been told, of course, but at that moment I just couldn't remember. The car slid from one bank to the other and I thought it would tip right over. Somebody help me, I pleaded. Suddenly I hear a voice speaking as clear as a bell. It said, "Steer into the skid." As soon as I did so, the car came back under control. Obviously, I wasn't alone in the car. I'm certain my guardian angel heard my thoughts and said just what I needed to hear. Oh, so that one, that's, who knows, maybe that's a good one for, now we have the guardian angels giving good driving advice. So if you're skidding, they say to steer into the skid, right? Instead of locking up your brakes and pulling away, trying to, overcompensate back the other direction, you actually turn into the way you're skidding, not slamming on your brakes, and that helps to kind of straighten it out. So it's kind of counterintuitive, right? Because we tend to want to pull the opposite direction if we're skidding one way or whatever. But yeah, so who knows? Maybe someone out there needs to hear that little lesson if they don't already know that technique if you're skidding. Okay, let's do one more here. Eve's story. I was on my way home from the funeral of a dear friend, the brother of my best friend, who herself had only passed away 3 weeks before. You can imagine how upset I was. It was heartbreaking. I was invited back to the family's house, but just could not face all that again. I know I should have walked around the gardens to get my head straight before riding my moped home, but I just wanted to go, so I headed off. Tears were streaming down my face. My best friend was gone, and now her brother too. I felt so low. As I indicated to pull out from the slip road onto the main road, a car behind me flashed to let me out. He was indicating to take the flyover to the left of me. As he passed me, he looked at me and gave me the thumbs up sign. At that moment, the love he sent hit me in the chest like a bullet. I was so overwhelmed with love, I just had to smile and once again thank my angels. Well, I don't know if that one's quite as miraculous of a rescue, but it's sweet. So I'm going to pause it there for today, and I will leave you guys with, let me see, I guess I should leave you with someone who's angelic sounding, right? Makes sense. How about Fia? This one seems appropriate. The song Golden Wings by the lovely Angelic Fia is actually one of the musical performers, live performers on one of the forthcoming episodes of Optimistic. So super excited, guys. This is all happening. And once again, thank you for your support. Be sure to text Mystic to the phone number 22999 if you'd like to co-create spreading the word with us. And also, if you're interested in coming to the Mystic Manor for a week, now is the time. Go to calendly.com/mystic deal to schedule a call. And until next time, all of you journey well. Enjoy this song, Golden Wings by Fia. Love you all so, so much. And if you're feeling the call to come for a week retreat style Mystic Manor immersion, remember to go now and book your time to speak with me directly about stepping into the optimistic vortex at calendly.com/talk with Brandon while there are still spots left. Otherwise, I look forward to co-creating magic with you at the Mystic Manor.
am carried upon golden wings. Finally I see them, finally I feel them. It's taken so long. I've learned how to trust the voice inside, jumping off the edge, and now I know that I can create what I want. And anytime I've fallen off track, angels have gently guided me back. I am deeply in love with life. Everything's exciting, fireworks and lightning. I only want more. I've learned how to flow with all that is, dancing through the contrast, knowing it will soon pass. I keep moving on, and anytime I've fallen off track, angels have gently guided me back. I've been led by my soul. She gave me the keys. I've released and let go, choosing freedom and peace. I am carried upon golden wings. Finally I see them, finally I feel them.